Veronica Fernandez. I'm from Venezuela, and I have a child which is right now 14 years old, and she went to the Moore Center for the first time when she was 12. Right now she is in 8th grade, and at the time she was in 6th. I met the people from the Moore Center through a friend. It is an interesting story. I went to work at Ocala. I work in design, and I had some clients from my country, from Venezuela, which have a property there, and I went with them. I'm a swimmer, and I wanted to keep training while I was at work. So I went to this pool. I found out a swimmer's. I found a pool where they did swimming for adults, and I met this woman, which I saw every 3 months or 6 months when I visited Ocala. And progressively, at the first meeting, I heard that she had a school. We swam at 6 in the morning with the master's team. And the second visit, she still was, when she got out of the pool, she was in a hurry to go to her school. She told me she had a school in Ocala, and she had 3 kids, and her kids were at that school. And then the third visit I went to Ocala. I went to the swimming pool, and she was not in such a hurry. So I started to ask why, and she told me she now did homeschooling for her 9-year-old because she had some problems, some learning difficulty problems. And she started speaking, and everything she said sounded so familiar with the situation of my youngest child, which at the time was 11. And we started speaking about the problems, and she suddenly asked me, "Why do you ask? Why are you asking so much?" And well, in a short time, the result of that was that she gave me the contact for the Moore Center, which was just opening in Ocala. They were first at Gainesville, and this was the first growing experience with the town closest by. So well, I received the information, and I started sending my daughter's information to the center, and I had a Skype meeting with Dr. Conway, and everything started to flow. Everything started to enlighten me as a mother, of a girl that had only had problems with the schools since she started her education. She had gone at that time already. She had been in 6 different institutions, in which every year they would make me sign a paper saying, "Your child has difficulties, we cannot help her. If you want her to continue with us, you would have to sign this, because we will not be responsible for her not progressing." So that was very difficult for my child, and that was difficult for me as a mother. And when I saw this opportunity, it was just enlightening. It was just a bright light, a shining light, and it has not been otherwise since that moment. My child, that was in the end of November that I contacted them for the first time of that year, And the first days, the first week of January, my child was in Ocala at my friend's house, which was a very special offer and a beautiful experience. She has now a second family, and she went and she assisted the Morris Center for the first time for 10 weeks. I could not afford more, but it just changed her life. It changed everybody's life in my house. It was the first experience my child had in an institution where they helped her, where they make her feel she was someone who was capable of learning and of having a whole life, having the life she wished to have. She was very skeptic, and I was skeptic, and the whole family was skeptic about improvements. But the Morris Center was totally tranquil. They were totally comfortable receiving her, and they had no doubt she would improve, as she has since that moment. The Morris Center has a system that makes the kids with learning difficulties, achieve their goals. The most important thing they give them, the two things, I guess, I imagine, I see, actually, really, are that they motivate, they open their eyes, they give them the chance, and they show them a process with structure, with a system, and with perseverance and endurance on achieving what they need to have to improve. It's magic. They produce magic. It's hard. It's not easy for the kids in the beginning, because the motivational part, they come when they arrive to that center, they are very down-loaded. Normal education makes a learning difficulty, a child with learning difficulties makes them feel inferior. And the first thing the Morris Center attacks is the motivation and the strength to make them feel they are capable of achieving. They have a difficulty, but with practice and with perseverance and with love and with care and with all the systems and processes they have studied through their experience, they're capable of turning that kid's view of themselves around in a 360 degree turn, which they will never look back once achieved. My child is a 14-year-old girl. I cannot say it's magic what she has learned. It's a continual process which does not advance if you do not do the exercises, if you're not constant in your efforts and perseverance in the repetition of whatever your child needs. to repeat, but you have results. The results are evident. My child went the first year for 10 days, and the next year she went for 2 months. We had difficulties in our country, political difficulties. My child was scared, and this family received her again, which was a blessing. They have a school in Ocala, so my child, the second year, went to their school in English, and then in the afternoons or in the mornings, or as the capabilities were open, they were flexible on aiding her as much as possible in that precise time she had. So not only does the Morris Center give you the opportunity to improve in their normal schedule, but they go out of the route for every particular circumstance, especially with people from abroad. It is difficult for her family, for my child's family, to be with her over there. We have our duties in our country, and the 2 years she has been at the Morris Center, she has been alone. She has been a boarder in this family's house. She has had all the love and care and the companionship of a sister today, with the same difficulties, but with English as a first language, and my child today feels that the family that offered that opportunity is her family. In Latin America, we use the two last names, the father's last name and the mother's last name. My child adds this family's last name as a third initial in her signature. That is a way of saying, of her expressing her care, gratitude, and love for the experience she has had. She is in progress. She, every year, every school year since she has gone to the Morris Center, has been incredibly different. Her teachers here in Venezuela, she's in an American school, in the International Christian School, ICS, Caracas, and the teachers here have been very open, very supportive, and the teamwork does all the difference. The house support for the homeworks, the school support for the patients, and for the making learning a series of steps which the person with learning difficulties can follow. It's a lot of patience for a teacher with a student with difficulties to integrate that person to the group and to make it a positive experience. And we all have learned from the Morris Center. The school has learned, my family has learned, my girl has learned, the family which she was in has seen the improvements and has accompanied her with all care and love. And it's just, in all ways, it's a win-win situation. It has been, and will continue being, for sure. My child it's a girl, and she's in love with design, and she has all her emotions and her feeling for a future success open as a scheme that before she never thought she would. And that light, to have a child that has a view with light at the end, that is something for a mother. That's the best present one can have, and the best wish for a daughter, for an offspring. My experience has not ended. I feel it's a life experience, and even with all the difficulties we have in our country, the Morris Center has been the most supportive, and I'm sure that they will grow. They will grow as much as the passion grows. My best wishes for the Morris Center, from my heart and from my childhood.